right, welcome back to another episode of the Pursuit of Progress podcast. I'm a lone soldier today. My co-host Ben is still on vacation with his family over in Europe, taking the opportunity to interview a few people that I really look up to and admire, and starting off with somebody that I'm really excited to learn a little bit more about today. Today, as my guest, I have Steph, and Steph and I are part of a legit agents group together, and I'll give her the mic and let her explain a little bit more about who she is and why she is on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Adam. This is fun. Basically, I want to get into what background.
Yeah, tell me, I guess, first off, just how long you've been in Colorado, because I know you've moved here fairly recently, I think, right?
Sort of. It feels new, but I've actually been here for almost 9 years now.
Oh, that's a long time. Okay.
Yeah. So I born and raised in San Diego, California. Went to Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo for college. Worked for a couple corporate jobs up in Sacramento and then down in San Jose. And basically was like, I don't know if I'm going to stay in the Bay long term. Should I go back to San Diego? Should I go somewhere fun? So I had spent, a good amount of time out in Colorado and always had a blast. So I was like, maybe we should check that out. So I came out here, decided to make a move in 2015.
Was it more summer or winter that really drew you to Colorado?
Every time I came out here, it was for winter sports. So I did definitely a couple snowboarding trips. I also grew up ice skating, and every year we had a regional competition in Denver, and the Nationals was on the East Coast. So it was just a place I had come quite a bit. I had a couple of family members here, but nothing really.
Okay. And then as far as real estate goes, was that something that you started then once you were out here? That wasn't something that you were doing in California at all?
Right. Yeah. Well, it's part of the transition, right? So I worked a corporate job for like 7 years. Decided I wanted to get into real estate, which is kind of a fun story in itself. And so I knew getting into real estate kind of plants you in a new spot, right? So that's where I had to make a decision where to go. So I knew I wanted to get into real estate. I thought I was actually going to go to San Diego. So I took all of my real estate courses for California, went to take the exam, and then literally that week decided I was going to move to Denver. So moved here, redid all the courses for Colorado and made it happen like a year later.
Okay. So, but the first job that you had in Colorado was real estate. You didn't do something else out here first that was right off the bat?
I had like a transition period. So my former company knew that I was moving, knew I wanted to get into real estate, but really wanted to keep me around for as long as I could. So they let me work remote for my California office.
Okay. Who did you work for initially with real estate out here?
I joined Keller Williams initially.
Okay.
I did a lot of research, looked up offices downtown Denver because that's where I wanted to land. And yeah, the Keller Williams office was a good fit for when I started.
Okay. So before we dive a little deeper into some more real estate entrepreneur related questions, I'd love just to have you tell our audience a little bit more about some of these fun facts that I know about you that I think they would enjoy, also just about football. Now you're involved in hockey. You just are one of these people that just since I first have gotten to know you, and I still don't know you that well, but just always been really impressed with just some of these hobbies and just passions that you have outside of real estate, which was really cool.
Yeah, so I grew up an athlete. I was a total tomboy, but played pretty much every sport under the sun. Main ones being ice skating. I was competitive ice skater for like 11 years. And so when I came out here, I figured I would just I joined a bunch of like intramural teams, kind of social league, stuff like that. And then I really wanted to get back onto the ice. And so I wasn't going to go, to the ice rink and do a bunch of twirls by myself type of thing. And I'm definitely a team player. So I was like, I should play hockey. In San Diego, that wasn't really a thing. Girls didn't really play out there. So out here, I met some girls that played. And I was like, oh, this is something I could actually do. So I ended up joining a co-ed league, which I'm the only chick on the team. There's a couple girls in the league, so it's fun when we play against them. But for the most part, with all guys, hockey, it's super fun. And then along with that, just looking for the female athlete that I could connect with and, play with. And I ended up finding that through initially flag football. And so played a couple of years for the Alzheimer's Association, a bunch of friends from that league, and then found out about a more competitive league through X League, which is tackle football, all female-based arena style. So I ended up joining the team in Denver and been playing with them for a couple of years. So It's really
Okay.
fun. And the girls on that team have all different backgrounds. I mean, we've got hockey players, wrestlers, you name it. Like there's somebody from a different sport.
What's the name of that team?
Our team in Denver is Denver Rush.
The
For the
Rush.
X
Okay.
Games. So currently there's 8 cities that play in the league, and they plan to expand that to be about 36 cities in the next 5 years.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
So what position on the team were you playing?
I tried out for wide receiver, but we've got a few girls that are really good at catching. They ended up putting me in safety with my hockey. I play defense and hockey mostly, and so it was a really good fit with safety, and that's a good spot. I like it.
I'm just envisioning you running out as a wide receiver for some long ball and jumping in the air, doing like a double axel, catching the ball in the end zone.
That would be awesome.
So, and you're telling me offline right before we started that there's been some challenges with some of the venues, so that's been pushed out a little bit. So we could look for maybe seeing you doing that next year.
Yeah, so they postponed our season this year. So our first game will be May of 2025. Tryouts are in January, so I've got that to kind of prepare for. But yeah, ultimately they just wanted to really, it's sort of a new league. So they've got some new ownership, but they're really trying to build it up properly. So they need, new TV broadcasting, more sponsors, stuff like that. And to lock down the arena space for us to play in. So it should be all out in the next year.
Okay, cool. I'm looking forward to that. That sounds really cool. And then one other just kind of a personal question before we move more into the real estate stuff. Are you engaged, or you just have a real serious boyfriend?
Pretty serious boyfriend.
Or serious boyfriend, and then you have a couple dogs, right?
2 dogs.
Yep. And you guys just got back from a pretty epic trip, I saw.
Yeah, we actually went to Europe I was there for 10 days. He stayed an extra week. But that was cool. First time over there. Okay.
Where did you guys go?
We went to Barcelona, Venice, and then Brussels.
Okay, sweet. Sounds like an awesome trip.
Yeah, it was good. Good variety. They're all like a little different, so it was nice to see that.
And kind of jump ahead for a second, I wanted to ask you about your trip. Were you able to still kind of juggle doing a little bit of work over there, or were you really good with being intentional and having that in a point in your life where you're able to just kind of check out for a week and not have to worry about too much?
Yeah, I'm a planner, I would say. So definitely have my ducks in a row when I left, but it was kind of a little break. Ended up getting somebody under contract on the plane ride over there.
Nice.
Murphy's Law. So that worked out very nicely. And then only, a couple hurdles to get through that first week with our client, but it was smooth sailing when I was out there. I feel like it was the first real vacation I've been on in like 10 years, honestly.
That's super cool. And to be able to prove to yourself that it's doable, you can, still travel and do awesome trips like that, and the world won't fall apart when you're gone.
Yeah, totally.
So let's just talk a little bit more about real estate and how you got into that. I know you mentioned your other career back in California. Was that, you don't have to tell us exactly what it was, but was it sales-based, or was that a type of a position then that still kind of led you into something like real estate?
Yeah, so my first job out of college I was a project manager for commercial printing. So, long run print jobs in production from start to finish. And that's what I did for 7 years. I worked for 2 different companies. But at the end of the day, it's production. And the print world kind of gets slammed down your throat at the end of a, marketing campaign or something like that with hard launch dates. Especially in the Bay Area, we printed for a lot of the sports teams. So, we have to have our material there on game day, or, it's not negotiable. So I found myself working early mornings, late nights, on the weekends to catch up, and just really putting out fire drills all day long, being in production. And so I saw, the sales reps that would bring in the orders. I was like, man, they come in late, they leave early, they get to, entertain clients and go out to lunch and stuff like that. And I was like, I think I need to get into sales, which honestly terrified me. I'm not a salesperson. I was like, this is going to be a challenge. I'm, scared to go this fast, but I really saw like the long-term benefits and the vision, but I didn't want to sell paper. So I was like, if I could pick anything to sell, what do I want to sell? I was like, could be cars or houses, and what houses, because that seemed like a better fit for me.
Okay. Yeah, you seem like somebody that is very personable with the way that you do real estate, just very kind of going into a deeper level with your clients, just very intentional about how you kind of over deliver. And that's just me as an outsider, just kind of seeing some of the stuff that you put on the social. But tell me a little bit more about just kind of what sets you apart, some of your kind of unique advantages unique, I should say, unique value that you provide some of your clients, because that's something I think you do really a well job with.
Well, thank you. It's nice that you noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I just overall as a person, I'm a really good listener, and I like to over deliver. I hit deadlines. Like, I know that I'm good at what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And so with clients, after being in the industry for a couple of years, I feel like I got a really good grasp on reading people and knowing what they wanted before they wanted it. And so even, I mean, if I take a client out to go look at houses the first day, we look at 4 or 5 houses, I know exactly what they want. Like, it's, if we don't find anything that day, like, I have it dialed in. I know when that house pops up that they're going to love. And so I've always been kind of like very proactive, very like boots on the ground. If I see a house someone likes and say they're not even available or they're out of state, I'll go look at it. So, and that's, with COVID and all that, we had a lot of business out of state relocating, right? So
Mm-hmm.
did a lot of video tours and stuff like that for people that weren't even here, which even makes you a better agent because you really have to dial in and look at things for somebody that can't see it for themselves.
Mm-hmm. So with let's go a little deeper on the how you're able to, within just 4 or 5 homes, really identify like what the perfect home is for those clients. Is it, I'm assuming it's something a little bit deeper than just like the, what are your non-negotiables? What are your want-to-haves, must-haves? Is there something you're doing that's a little bit more specific than that, that's helping you get that out of them?
It's a great question. I feel like it's more of like a lifestyle. So, I mean, you could find a beautiful house in any neighborhood, right? But really
Mm-hmm.
knowing like what they do every day, who they like to go visit, like just stuff like that, really location wise. And then even when you're at those first couple showings, getting a feel for like, do they care if there's road noise? Like just little things that you can't tell through a computer screen. And that's, I mean, yeah, it comes down to details like that. And once you know, like, if they're yay or nay on certain things, then it makes it a lot easier to narrow down a search.
Are you able to, so you're a lot further along this path than I am with real estate. Are you to a point where you're able to kind of pick and choose your clients, at least to a point of these people that you're typically working with have similar interests as you, and it's almost just the ability to find stuff that you like and know that they'll also kind of be in a similar position?
Yeah, there's a lot of that. A lot of people I help are my friends or friends of their friends. I'll kind of do the same things or relocation, right? Like I relocated from California. So maybe 30-40% of my business is relocation from California. And so that helps as well. But yeah, a lot of similar clients, friends of friends, stuff like that. So once you get to know like what they like, it makes it easier too.
So the 30 to 40% that are California based relocating here, are those also people that you've just built relationships with from living there previously, or are those cold leads at all? Or
Yeah, a lot of it is previous. I mean, I've got friends all over California since I lived in
mm-hmm.
every quadrant. So a lot of my college, not a lot, but a handful of my college friends have moved out here. And then, yeah, just connections through friends. Even actually, one of my old coworkers at my crane shop sent me a referral for clients moving out here from Sacramento. So that worked out great. And then once, a couple family members get out here, then they want to bring their parents. And so it just kind of like snowballs. But
Yeah, it seems like you do really good with personal branding. So a lot of that is just even just on your social, you're posting and just letting your audience that lives in California know what you're up to and what you're doing, and they're just seeing that and reaching out to you and knowing that you're a good fit for their friend that's moving here.
yeah, 100%. I mean, even a couple of them I didn't really stay in touch with after college, but they reached out to me on Instagram. They're like, "We've been watching you for years," and I'm like, "That's awesome."
One of the things you do really well is these market updates. You do those weekly or monthly? I feel like
I do them weekly, so every
weekly.
Wednesday I screenshot the data for the week, so it's consistent. Every once in a while I'll miss, but for the most part, for the past 4 years, every single week I pull it, I analyze it, so I know what's going on.
That's awesome. The consistency is super important. We were talking about that in the last couple episodes, and just how that's one of the most important aspects of building up your brand. And I just think you do a good job with those weekly updates.
Yeah,
And it gives you a level of setting yourself up as kind of the expert by doing that. It's a little bit more like data driven compared with me just posting that I'm out at a property today. It's really showing your depth of knowledge, which I think is something, speaking to myself as I talking to you, something I need to work more on. I think that was just something that I really admired about your social.
Yeah. I think the data is super important. If you can understand the data, you can have confidence to talk to anybody, really.
Mm-hmm. And then I've been anxious too, just to talk a little bit more about your aspirations to kind of step outside of the Denver market and also be a little bit more involved in the mountains. So, what was the kind of story behind that? Is that just a passion that you want to just be up there more?
Yeah, pretty much, passion. Last summer, I spent a good amount of time up in the mountains in the summer, which I mean, I'm a big snowboarder, so will ski or snowboard. I've actually never skied in my whole life, but snowboard, 25 days a year type of thing. Spent a lot of time there in the winter, but last summer I ended up there filming some reels actually, which is funny that that's the reason I ended up there in the summer. But I just kind of wanted to get out of town and check out
Mm-hmm.
and work on my social media for a few days. And I was like, I stayed in Breckenridge, and I was like, wow, this is beautiful. How have I not come up here in the summer? So I spent a bunch of time last year up there. Kind of came up with the idea of like, I'd love to buy up here. It's different market, different MLS system. So agents in Denver don't have access up in the mountains. That's how it works here. But kind of figured out that maybe I should join the Mountain Network. And I moved 2 years ago. I moved to Golden, so I'm on the very western edge of Denver anyway. So you can pretty much get anywhere in Denver in an hour, and getting to the mountains from Golden is only an hour. So I was like, well, I'm basically right in the middle of two markets now. I love going more west, so it just kind of made sense. So in December, I actually added the mountain market, which is like Breckenridge, Frisco, Keystone, Silverthorne, Dillon, to my jam. So we're up there twice a week now, learning the market as much as I can, and we will be starting a YouTube channel this summer.
Okay, cool. So you're going to do a living in the mountain. I'm trying to think what the name of that would be. Just so you haven't officially decided where in the mountains you want to relocate to, right? You're still kind of testing out different areas.
Kind of testing it out. I feel like it makes sense to buy in Frisco because it's basically the edge, the beginning of that area, and there's water and all that. So I'm a big fan. But yeah, eventually, I mean, I'd love to know all the mountain towns in Colorado. So in joining Breckenridge, I actually have access to Steamboat as well. So one of my goals for this summer is to really get out to all the different mountain towns. That way I can actually speak to Breckenridge in comparison to the other ones. So that'll be some fun research to do.
Yeah, I feel like you could also create a lot of content just around other people that are also maybe wanting to relocate even just from Denver to a mountain town and some of the challenges you're going through to make it happen and what you like, don't like about different areas. That's something I would tune into. I think that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, this would be fun to create content around all that. So, and be
So
very transparent too. Like, I don't know everything about there yet, but I will.
So if you don't really have any connections, let's just say Frisco, from a real estate perspective, you don't have any clients up there, you don't have any, active business right now. What are some of the strategies you're going to use just to kind of get your foot in the door?
Yeah, for sure. So I think a lot of that will be social media and then the YouTube channel. Because people that, I mean, it's just, smaller towns up there. So there's not a huge audience up there. And a lot of people that own don't even live in state. So harder to get business boots on the ground up there. So social media, YouTube makes a lot of sense. And even since I've been going up there and posting, I go up there for broker tours every Tuesday at least. And just in that posting one day that I'm up there looking and learning at everything, I've already had people reach out going, hey, my parents are trying to buy a house up there. Like, it's just crazy how the word gets out when people just watch what you're doing.
That's awesome. Not to make this blanket statement without really knowing the data behind it, but it sure seems like a lot of the mountain towns, they haven't been really as competitive maybe where amongst other agents up there where they're not maybe leveraging video nearly as much as Denver where it's so saturated and so many people are doing video and YouTube and all these different things down here. But I feel like maybe you're a little bit earlier to the game up there with some of that.
Yeah, I definitely see that opportunity. So I'm going to take advantage of it sooner than later.
Well, my when I lived up in Aspen, all my realtor friends up there, they had quite the good life where they would, go ski for an hour or two, maybe do some networking with any clients that might be in town. It's almost like you become almost like a tour guide in some senses to some of your clients if they don't currently own anything in that mountain town that you're living in. But it seems like you have a little bit more different kind of dynamic with some of your clients when you're in a vacation destination type place, which I think would be really fun.
Yeah, it's definitely a little different. So nice to have, a balance of both eventually.
Mm-hmm. But even after, let's just say you decide to move up there, you'll be up there living there full time, but you'll still be kind of doing the flip flop at that point where you would come down to Denver maybe a day or two a week just to maintain your Denver business.
I think so. I feel like I'll always have business in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that evolves. I mean, I could see finding a business partner to run, the Denver network and whatnot. But I mean, I have good relationships with everybody down here, so I'd want to come down and see people anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have as far as just like expanding your current business and just your volume and just how you're operating, do you have any other people that you lean on? Do you have a TC? Do you have a transaction coordinator? Do you use Allison also the same as me or? Yeah.
Yes, I do use Allison.
Allison's the best. Shout out to Allison.
Yes, fantastic TC she's got.
Yeah. Have you leveraged any sort of overseas admins for anything yet?
No virtual assistants. Probably should get one to run some of the tedious busy work type of stuff, but I feel like I need to start that myself so I understand it, so I can explain to somebody else how to take over it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's just some systems and things I need to dial in myself first.
Are you focusing? Sorry to interrupt you. Are you focusing more on sellers or buyers? Is there one that's a bigger chunk of your business than the other?
I've always been very buyer heavy until this last year. It sort of flipped. So right now, the past 6 months, I guess I've had more sellers, and now it's evening out. It's like the buyers are coming back out. So I've got, a handful of buyers shopping every day. So this year will probably end up like 50-50.
Okay. And if you had the choice of one more than the other, trying to be more seller focused, just with everything that's kind of going on in the real estate market right now with NAR and everything else?
Yeah, well, that doesn't really scare me, but sellers are fantastic. I love having listings, working the listings, staging the listings, like definitely my jam to make a house look its best. So, and I'd love to focus more on listings. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, that was kind of me wanting to lead into my next question about just some of these very unique things you do with your listings and your seller clients with staging and some of that stuff. So you offer kind of staging as part of your package of them working with you, right?
Yes, I do. So I've always offered staging. I'm a big fan of it. I think, the stats speak for themselves, but homes sell quicker, faster for more money if they're staged, right? So, and that could be a blend. If the house is completely empty, we can bring in staging crew to stage the whole place. If you're living there, then we just kind of edit it, right? Or bring in accessories. And so there's a lot you can do with any house in any setup. And it kind of evolved from I used to pay for a staging team to come in, but I would watch what they would do. And I was like, I love design myself. And so I'm like, man, I could really do this. And take it on. And how that actually switched to myself taking it on myself is that I had a listing totally vacant, empty, and they wanted to list it in like a weekend. And I was like, well, that doesn't have enough time for me to like order stagers, for them to pick out stuff, get it moved in before pictures, all that. And so I was like, I think I can do this. And so I literally spent 3 days shopping for all the furniture. And the reason I thought this was a good idea at the time was because I was in a contract on my house. And so I was like, this is perfect. I'll just buy everything I want for my house, and then I'll put it in the listing, and then I'll move it to my house. And that's what I did. And it's kind of funny that it works out that way. The house sold first weekend, and then I had all brand new furniture in my house. So from there, I just like every listing, I'll pull pieces that make sense for the house, or go, spend $500, $600, $700 on pieces to add to their house or whatever they need. So now I've just been collecting pieces with every listing, and I can, furnish a couple houses if I need to at the same time.
That is awesome. I think you're the first person I've talked to that does that. And I just think that's such a creative way to, again, add value. So do you have a storage unit, or your garage is a little bit more full than it used to be? How do you kind of manage that and keep track of everything you have? And that's the part I would struggle with.
That way is growing for sure. So I do have a spreadsheet with an inventory list. That way I know if I lose something or break something or whatever. But currently it's kind of a blend of in our garage, in our laundry room. We have a big laundry room, and they kind of just like stuff throughout our house. So it fits for now, but I will probably need a storage unit later this year for sure. Or most of the time, half of it's at a listing. So we just move it from one house to the next, and that's what's really well.
But some of these homes that you're doing this with are still owner occupied. So you're actually kind of instructing them on, how it might be good to declutter a bit, maybe take some of this stuff down. And then while they're living there, you're still adding some of your stuff
Yep,
to their house.
exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
we basically edit it down to furniture and, remove the personalized stuff. And then I'll come in with like new shower curtains, new pillows, new drapery, like whatever it really needs. And then plant a lot of plants, that's a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty good at seeing what it needs and knowing what to bring in.
I keep getting these emails just in the last week. I started noticing them about I did this thing with the Realtor Association where I became an expert at real estate negotiation, which is just some 2-day course you do. But I saw that they're now offering one on staging, and it kind of piqued my interest. Just with at least learning some of those little tips about don't have the foot of the bed facing the door when you walk into a room. Just these little tips you maybe you don't even think about until you talk to a stager or do a class of some sort.
Yeah, for sure. Once you see it and
What
learn
would
it, then you can't unsee it. So when you walk into any house and you know what to do.
what would be one or two examples of easy little changes to do in a home to really drastically improve it when it comes to staging?
Yeah, pretty much at a minimum, it's editing any really bold colors, like unless it works for the space. I mean, a lot of rooms have themes, which is fine. But definitely like pillows are really easy. In the bathrooms, always do white towels, so that's an easy switch out. Removing like rugs and stuff like that. So it's really just cleaning off all the surfaces and then putting some nice, pretty looking things.
Okay. And you talk about green being important. As long as the plants aren't messy and dripping water or leaves on the floor, that kind of stuff, you really are a big proponent of greenery.
Yeah, a blend if the people living there have real plants, that's great. I always bring in extra fake plants and stuff like that. So it's a blend usually.
What's your opinion on? I've heard people talk about the three strike rule, where you go into a house that you're showing your clients, and if it smells bad or has some funky, they're trying to cover something up, that's kind of like strike one. Or if they hear a bunch of noise, from a busy street, that might be strike two. Are there some things you do with staging there, just preparing your homes that you're listing, that are ways to for example, the smell one is a big one. I always have people that say, don't use those little cheap Glade air fresheners. Do you have some alternatives that you do for that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it smells a little tricky because if you're obviously covering it up, then people will notice that, and so they'll
Mm-hmm.
think something's wrong. But the best thing you can do is open the windows, the couple days before, or if you're living there before the showing, just air it out. That's the best way to do it. Otherwise, they do have little deodorizer canisters that you can put in the basement sometimes. It's a good idea. But yeah, you don't want to light too many candles. You definitely don't want to cook an elaborate meal with spices and all that right before showing. So
Yeah. Yeah. Do you even go to the extent of sounds? Do you ever recommend them playing, calm music or any sort of auditory type stuff?
no, I don't really do that. I mean, at open houses, obviously, I'll play music for fun, for the vibe.
Mm-hmm.
But pretty showings, I think you can't really hide anything up. Even if you have music during a showing to cover the road noise, they're going to come back for inspection and then notice it. And then you're in even a worse situation because now you've got somebody that potentially might back out. So it's really just let the house be the house and, go from there.
I think you could do some really good content on that too, just tips for. And I'm saying that again because I would watch and I would get value out of that. So.
All right, noted. I'll make a video.
All right. So let's just talk about our title of our podcast is the pursuit of progress. So it's just it's somewhat real estate. I would say more just entrepreneurial focused. Somebody like you that's an athletic background that I'm sure is very good with your routines and your habits, and having that be probably a lot of what's given you a lot of success over the years with sports and then in your professional life as well. Just kind of walk me through. Are you a big proponent of the whole morning routine, or you think that's kind of a fluff, kind of overdone thing? Or what are some of the things that maybe you do that our audience would maybe benefit from hearing, just as far as staying motivated, being very, successful at whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I'm a huge advocate for a morning routine. I
Okay.
want to go through phases. Right now, I'm trying to get back on that wagon, but for several years in a row, I was doing savers every single morning, silence,
Explain.
affirmation, visualization, exercise, breathing, and scribing.
Okay.
So, and I could get that down to an hour plus, workout if that's longer. But yeah, those are non-negotiable. Like immediately wake up, go through those things, have a journal, like cross out literally every single task, and then start my day. And I feel like the consistency with that over a year or two of not missing a day really made a big difference for sure. So yeah, the times change and you go in
I've
and
been
out of certain things. I'm trying to get back on it. But this year, one of the main goals that I set was to start cold plunging. And so I actually did 4 months straight of cold plunging every single day, no matter what. And that was basically through the winter, January, February. It's 32 degrees in my cold plunge almost every time.
that you took the words out of my mouth. That was my next question. So I want to hear just a little bit more about that. And did you get benefit from that? Do you feel like I read Wim Hof's book, and I'm a wuss when it comes to cold water, so I haven't purchased a cold plunge. I've actually never even done one, but like, what are the biggest benefits you got out of doing that for? I mean, that's a significant amount of time, 4 months. It's really impressive.
Yeah, it was not fun every day. Especially when you wait till like 10 p.m. to do it and it's snowing outside. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the biggest benefit was sticking to doing something hard that you don't want to do, right? So it's just that like mindset of, I don't want to do this right now. It's going to suck, but it's only going to suck for like 2 minutes, you know? And so building that confidence of doing that every single day, because you can talk yourself out of it all you want, but like hour leading up, so you can make yourself miserable all day just thinking about it. But then once you do it, you realize it's not a big deal. You get
Mm-hmm.
out and then you're super proud of yourself for doing it. So that's kind of like, it was a good like confidence builder for me, just to be consistent with something.
So when you're just starting out at cold plunging, is the goal to be in there for a longer period of time, or is it more important to get the temperature down colder? Is there like one of those that's more important when you're kind of first getting started and trying to get better at it?
Yeah, there's a lot of opinions around this, but you definitely don't want to like shock yourself too bad by like first time 32 degrees, 5 minutes. Like you could get sick, I guess, if it's too cold and you're in there too long. So I don't know. The first one I did, I filled up with hose water, right? Which I thought was really cold at the time, but then I realized that wasn't. So my first week was gradual, like add ice, but then it snowed. So pretty much week 2, I was at 32 degrees and just had to go for it. But I was only staying in for a minute up front. So it really,
Longest minute ever.
yeah. You just watch the timer on your phone and I'm like, don't watch
What's
the
the
timer.
what's the longest that you got up to?
I really only did like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. At
Still
32. I think when you get into like 40, 50 degrees, then you can stay in there for 10 minutes. But when it's that cold, your body just starts to like shut down.
Did you feel like that 4 month span of time where did you ever get sick during that time, or do you feel like your immune system was like way more on point, and some of those other benefits you get from kind of that shock to your system, however they call it?
Yeah. Didn't get sick at all. And just, yeah, you notice the benefits. I mean, since I am pretty athletic and whatnot, quicker recovery, I guess, things like that. So it definitely is great for your body, but it was mostly mental for me.
And after that 4 months, are you still doing it occasionally, or?
Occasionally. Now it's a lot more of
Okay.
a thing because you got to like buy ice or like put enough ice in that every day it's warming up.
Yeah.
So it's kind of changed from, how it used to be like, I'm going to do this because it's freezing and I don't want to, but it's over in 5 minutes. Now it's like a 30-minute routine that I don't really care to spend the time doing.
So we talked about morning routine. What about just like overall like work-life balance? It seems like you have a lot of other stuff going on between your hobbies, your sports stuff, your boyfriend, your dogs. You're trying to maybe completely move to a whole different part of the state. Are you somebody that really like values kind of like that work-life balance where at a certain time in the day you're clocked out? Like, you just talk to me a little bit about that. How you kind of navigate that balance.
Yeah, I don't really have structured routine, which is a blessing and a curse in this business, right? I'm not one of those people that's like, I'm shut off at 7 p.m. and you can wait till the next morning to reach me. Like, I'm always available. Clients understand if I'm like, out doing something at a football practice. But yeah, so balance. I mean, everything I do in real estate, I enjoy. Sports, I enjoy. Friends, I enjoy. Mountains, I enjoy. So it's just like this big blend of work and my lifestyle that works really well. So I don't ever feel like working too much or taking too much time off. So yeah, it works nicely.
And I guess, like you said, with your trip to Europe, I guess if you're able to at least be intentional, if you have something like maybe the season for football coming up or whatever it is, you're just intentional about preparing for that ahead of time and setting yourself up for success as best you can.
Yeah,
On
it's
the
not
front
like
end.
expectations with their clients, right? So if they know ahead of time, then no one ever has an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are you with your clients, especially your buyer clients, are you trying to be really focused on people that are in that same part of town as you, in that western side of Denver, Golden? I've had a hard time where I had a few different buyer clients that I've, absolutely I'll work with you, and then they're looking in Erie and Brighton and way far away from where I'm at in Littleton, and it's just like total throws a curveball in my work life balance and knowing how to handle that kind of stuff. Are you a little bit better about that since you're more seasoned in real estate than I am with picking who you're working with? And
I'd like to say that, but no, I still know everywhere.
you do? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to focus on the west side, Golden, foothills to the mountains, if I could, but I always find somehow I end up over by the airport, down in Castle Rock, and that's really fun. I like to mix it up as well. But it's definitely, at this time in real estate, it works to be everywhere. But I know, like, the last few years when it was way busier, it's impossible. 7 clients and they want to be all over Denver. So that's when you need to bring in a showing assistant or something to help balance that out. But right now, I have enough capacity to service everyone.
I'd like to, maybe we could do another episode in the future and talk more about the whole hiring a buyer's agent or, a showing assistant. I'm not at that point either yet, but I've just always been concerned about how that works, how that process, works, just everything down to like, how do you compensate them? How do you ensure that they're kind of living up to your high level of expectations with your clients? Just a lot of kind of concerns I have about implementing that into my business, but it sure seems like it's the only way that you can scale is bringing on people like that.
Yeah, that's definitely the next big step for sure. That, or at one point I was like, I think I should get a driver because I can work while they take me to the
There we
next
go.
location. Because driving in real estate is a lot. I'd probably do too much in my car at once. But there was a point where I was like, I don't need a showing assistant. I need a driver.
Yeah, I'm feeling kind of thankful that I entered into this right after the craziness where you're writing offers in your car on your laptop in front of the house that you just looked at along with 20 other agents. That sounds stressful.
That was a daily norm.
Crazy. Well, cool. I think we got a lot of good little nuggets there, not just learn a little bit more about you, but also I think you have a lot of very interesting perspective when it comes to the athletics and just you're very unique and interesting. I love just learning a little bit more about that. I'm anxious to watch you play football when that happens too. That sounds super entertaining.
Yes, it'll be a good time. We've got a lot of people that are waiting for games.
I love our audience just to know where they can find you, especially with these weekly market updates that I've mentioned are super valuable. I'd love other people to be able to access those and just learn a little bit more about you. What's the best way people can follow you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram every day. That's probably the best place to reach me. My Instagram handle is just my name, Steph Swartzlander. And I'm pretty much Steph Swartzlander everywhere. Facebook, Google, you'll find me. So
Okay. And YouTube for the mountains, that hasn't launched yet, but that's something in the next couple months, or what's kind of the ideal time that that's going to be available to see?
yes, hoping to launch summer 2024. So it's coming. We've got B-roll from the past year, so a lot of footage to get out soon.
Okay. Super cool. Well, thanks, Steph. I appreciate you joining us, guys. Like she said, Steph Swartzlander. I'll put that info as well in the show notes so it can be more easily found. It's a little bit of a tongue twister last name, so I'll put that in the show notes so you guys can find her there as well. But Steph, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it.
All right, you guys. Hope you guys got some value out of this today. Thanks for watching or tuning in. If you could, please make sure you guys share this with your friends, anybody else you think might get some value out of this today. We're trying to grow our audience, and that is the biggest compliment you can give us, is just to share the show and spread the word. So until next week, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks for listening and tuning in to the Pursuit of Progress podcast. See ya.